Hey there, captains. It's Reiem again with another Vassal World Cup Swiss battle report. Just finished the third round of Swiss last night. Thought I'd go ahead and get the video out right away. Last night I faced RealVeers, flying a rebel fleet at 400 points. We'll go through his list here quick. RealVeers had a MC-30 with MC-30 torpedo frigate with ordnance experts, external racks, H9 turbolasers, and the foresight title. Then had a CR-90A with General Reiem, turbolaser reroute circuits, and Jaina's Light. There was a CR-90B with heavy ion emplacements, GR-75 with Torn Far and Quantum Storm, and a GR-75 with CommsNet. Then a pretty substantial squad ball here of Dash, Ketsu, Landu, Sharabe, the YT-2400, I believe a pair of them, yep, and Rogue Squad. So a whole bunch of rogues, a whole bunch of bombers kind of mixed in. Only thing that doesn't have rogue here is Shara. So that is his fleet, mine. Just go over it again quick. I am rocking Bale, 395 points for my fleet, with a Venator II, Clone Captain Zak, Veteran Gunners, SPHA-T, Electronic Countermeasures, External Racks, Link Turbolaser Towers, and the Tranquility title. Then there's a Venator I. This is where Bale is, with GAllia, Boarding Troopers, Intensify Firepower, External Racks, Link Turbolaser Towers, and the Resolute title. Then there's a pair of Peltas, both with projection experts, one with munitions resupply, one with parts resupply, and one with Hondo. Alright, so those are the fleets. I had bid at 5 points, so let us jump over to the game. I chose to go first. I didn't want to be first last by the MC-30. So first, I thought was the best option for me. I had a major deployment disadvantage, especially going first. As you can see, this is me fully deployed, and this is what RealVeers has down so far. We are playing capture the VIP, hence the objective token off of the station here. Otherwise, we got 2 debris fields off either side of the station, and I placed the asteroids in the corners of my deployment zone just to keep them out of the way. So because of the deployment disadvantage, I just want to talk about my deployment here. If you're in positions like this, where you're just really out deployed, just go for the strongest deployment you can. Looking back at his fleet, he had that MC-30, solid squad balls, and then the pair of CR-90s, an A and a B. Theoretically, Bale is probably the weakest or highest value target here. Probably the easiest thing to kill for the most amount of points. The Peltas are also pretty juicy, especially for the squads. That's kind of their Achilles heel. And Tranquility is going to be kind of hard to tank, but could still die to the MC-30. So I set up my deployment so that the tankiest things were on the outside and the Pelters are stacked in the middle. There's not a lot of room if this flies straight ahead for anything to jump in between, like that MC-30 to get into a side arc of the Venators and still have shots on the Peltas. I want to make it so if the MC-30 comes in, it'll have to come on the outside of one of the Venators, or come in at a front angle, in which case he'll be in the front arcs of the Venators. So I just set with the strongest deployment I can. Everything's at speed 2, and I'll go into a little bit more detail as we get to see the full deployment. RealVeers finished deploying. This is the CR-90 with H9 or HIEs, heavy ion emplacements. This is Jaina's Light. Here's the MC-30. This is Bale. This is SPHA-T. So I drew some arrows here. As you can see, everything in mine is speed 2, so I got a lot of options. I didn't know which side he was going to deploy on. I figured it was going to be Bale, but couldn't make sure of that. So this deployment, as you can see from the arrows, I gave myself a lot of options with this deployment. if RealVeers sets up on this side like he did, I'm going to be following these arrows here. So what's going to happen is this Venator is going to speed up to 3 and do this turn. These Peltas are going to stay at 2, and they're going to start turning this way to try and meet the MC-30 if it flies in or if it tries running this way. And then the Venator is going to slow down to 1 and do a sharp turn to the right. And we'll see how this plays out at the end of round 1. But essentially what this is going to do, it allows me to swing my formation. Keeping the Peltas guarded, but also able to projection expert and do all their supplying. Going speed 3 with this Venator will allow me to put a SPHA-T on this objective token. So I'll be able to threaten whatever comes in to pick it up. And also throwing the Venator in at 3 here will allow it to be the one that's tanking, because it's going to be the one that's like right in the kill zone here of all the squads, and depending on which direction these go. And if I want a ship to be shot, I want Tranquility to be shot. So I'm perfectly fine with RealVeers setup. It's really good. Just some questions on my end. I didn't know if he was going to try and turn in to try and dive the Peltas, or if they're going to just try and run and come in late and like try and get the perfect double side shot onto one of the Venators and try and clean it with squads. That was probably my biggest worry. Was that this was going to go wide and like try and blow this up on 5 or 6 with the support of the squads and just play cagey. But this was deployment. We will go into the end of round 1. As you can see, my stuff started turning. Pelta stayed at 2. This Venator jumped up to 3. This one jumped down to 2. Did a nice double click. These did varying degrees of turns, and this did a fairly sharp turn at speed 3. I got the SPHA-T token. I don't have the range band up, but black range is probably like part way through this GR75. So really got a good threat bubble here. RealVeers has opted to do the flying in on this direction. Interesting for me at the time was that this CR90 decided to go this way. I thought if he turned in, the CR90 would come this way and threaten whatever was on this side. I understand it's Tranquility, so it's the tankiest thing. You probably didn't want to dive it, but HIEs are probably one of the worst upgrades to fight, or on the Tranquility side. That's the least favorite thing I like seeing, because it just nukes shields, and that's what makes Tranquility tanky, is its ability to use shields. So if this HIE CR90 was able to get that upgrade off, it was going to be a pain. But interesting enough, just talking about what's going to happen in 2 here, or was my thought at the end of round 1. Normally, whenever I get a SPHA-T lined up at the start of the next round, I'll always go the SPHA-T first, like 95% of the time. But I kind of realized here that there's no real rush, because the way RealVeers is flying, and this is out the front, I'm going to have a target for it. Like, even if I go with this Venator last, like this CR90 is going to have to fly over here. The MC-30 is going to have to fly in. This GR75 is going to have to fly in. This GR75, even at a speed 3 move, isn't going to get out of the SPHA-T, probably. So I'm in no rush. And actually, if I fly in at 3, I'm going to end up like here in a nice little kill box. But if I can deploy, or if I can delay my deployments, I can potentially like set myself up to ram this GR75 after it goes and like land on the station, set up to like this CR90, no matter what's, going to end up somewhere over here probably at the end of the round. So if I can stop my Venator about here and set a SPHA-T out the side, I'm going to be able to threaten Reiem. The MC-30 is going to have to fly in. I kind of want to see where that goes if possible. So I realize I'm in no rush. I'm going to actually delay this CR90 or this Venator as much as possible. And we're just going to go with stuff with ships that aren't going to have any shots. These 3 probably aren't going to have any shots. Or really strong shots, I should say. So we'll just delay with these, get these all lined up. We'll swing this one in strongly at 2 to try and cut these off here, because I'm sensing these GR75s, something's going to end up bumping here, because this is going to be quite the cluster of ships here, and I'm just going to set up a little like ramming box here. Like, these things are all slippery, but with the Peltas here to block this area and this Venator holding this side and this Venator over here, they're not going to have a lot of places to go except like close to the front arc and side of this Venator. So I'm actually really happy with how turn 1 has went. I got a plan for turn 2. We'll jump to the next slide and see how 2 goes. Zoom in a bit here, actually. All right. So this is my second activation of round 2. I went with the Venator first, sped it back up to 2, did a really sharp turn at 1 and a turn at, or 1 click at 2 on the outside to get this nice position here. Obstructed from the MC30 at blue range, so no real threat here. This is only in the side arc of the CR90, so Venator is probably, like I said, the weakest Venator, but right now it's in a really strong position. If the MC30 comes in, it's going to be in the boarding troopers range, and I'll have first activation. So I had gone with this first. RealVeers brought this GR75 down. And seeing this, I'm like, okay, here comes the roadblock. So I activate this Pelta next. We fly in here at speed 2, and as you can see, this MC30 has nowhere really to go except like right here. And if I delay with the Venator II here with SPHA-T out the front, RealVeers is going to want to go last with the MC30, because the MC30 does not want to fly in and then get shot point blank by SPHA-T, only for me to be able to SPHA-T him again the next round. That'll be just a dead MC30. So realizing that, I'm like, this GR75 then is going to have to go before the MC30 if he wants to avoid that scenario I just mentioned. If the GR75 goes in, where is it going to go? It's going to go like here, here. Maybe it's got a dial and goes 1, but it's just going to make more of a roadblock, and the MC30 might not even be able to get in at all. And if this MC30 gets stranded here at blue range, I'm perfectly fine, because if I go with this Venator next round, if I just like bump this GR75, fine with that. I'll bounce back to where I am. This GR75, I know later in the round, after I do this move, I can move this Pelta about here. If I do that, this GR75 isn't going anywhere. So I'm really favoring this position. We haven't done any shooting yet. Or I haven't, at least with ships. I should point out the squads at the end of round 1 actually did like 5 shield damage to Tranquility. But I'm just going to heal that up with the Peltas this round. That's why this Pelta is actually down 1 shield on the side, is because it healed the Venator. So this was just partway through 2. I thought it was important to see how exactly ships are getting into position. So we will go to the next slide. So here we are at 2 again. I think this is the end of 2. Some things have happened. So this GR75 came in like I mentioned, or like I thought it would. Or it'd be forced to, I should say. And it rammed. Or got rammed. Oh, yes. It came in, landed here, and then I went with the Venator and rammed it. That's why it's at 2 hull. I got this nice SPHA-T out the side. SPHA-T was put down before Reiem flew over. I was interested to see if Reiem was going to slow down and end up here. And if that was the case, I was thinking they might just cross the line. So I put the SPHA-T over here. Honestly, I should have moved it a little bit off to the edge here. There's no reason to have it right on the line. So a bit of a misplay for me. I just have it in blue range. The SPHA-T token is just in blue range to the rear of Reiem. The MC30 tried going in. It ended up ramming this GR75, landing back where it was. I ended up using SPHA-T. This was my last ship to go. It still had this HIE CR90 to shoot at. So we threw 6 blue dice at it, I believe. and we got 3 accuracies and 2 hits and a crit. So that's why we got down to 3 hull, and then it rammed this MC30. It pulled the crit to discard a defense token, so that's why it is down 1. And this just means that the CR90 has to run. There's no way it's going to try and do a cheeky HIE crit, because like the threat of salvo is too real. So this is going to be running. I'm hoping at this point that somehow maybe I can get like a cheeky side shot in like blue, or maybe a front shot. I don't know how things are going to activate yet. I haven't decided yet. I think maybe I can get like a kill here on this. Squads came in. Squads decided to attack this Pelta. This was the risk of throwing this Pelta in the trap, but Peltas are relatively tanky. But as you can see, we lost all the shields. We're down to 3 hull. The squads are in, but we're not really threatened by many guns. I believe we're outside of blue range even here, just out, and then just out of blue range here. So ships can't shoot, I just have to deal with squads. At the end of 2, I have to decide here what I'm gonna do. Like I said, I could try and kill. Whoops! I could try and kill this CR90 with the VIP token. But my best shot at this would be this Venator activating first, and it has a Confire dial queued up, so it's going to have 2 reds because of obstruction, back up to 3 reds to kill the CR90. That is very unlikely to kill it at long because of the evade and redirect. I would need like 2 accuracies and a double hit. Something along that line. So it's actually very unlikely that I manage to kill this. Looking at my other options, I could go first with this Venator. I do have the side shot on Reiem. And I have SPHA-T. I know I have a Confire dial coming up. And I know that I also have Clone Captain Zak out the side. So I'm going to have 5 blue dice naturally from SPHA-T, 6 because of Confire, and then 7 due to Zak. And if I look over here, if I got this rear shot, I'm going to need 3 accuracies, because I just know if they can use any of these defense tokens to throw, get rid of dice or redirect, I am not going to be able to kill it. So 3 of those dice have to go to accuracies, and then I'll only have 4 dice left, so I can get 4 damage. And as you can see, it's 1 damage, 4 health. So I basically need to get 3 accuracies, 4 damage with a crit, and have RealVeers pull a structural damage crit. So I had to debate between what was more likely scenario: 3 reds getting 2 accuracies and a double hit, or rolling 3 accuracies and then 4 hits with one of them being a crit over here. This ship does have veteran gunners, at least, so I weighed my options and thought that this would be the best one. So we'll go to the beginning of round 3. Yes, just highlighting what the ranges were on this SPHA-T. Oh, I thought I had a slide for this. Anyway, we will jump here. So this is round 3, the beginning of it. Oh yeah, this is partially through 3. Okay, this is before he's picked it up. All right. So I do end up doing the shot here on Reiem as my first activation, and then I do a we'll talk about the shot. So I launch my SPHA-T out the side. I roll 5 damage and 2 accuracies, which isn't enough. So I accuracy both evades, and I veteran gunners, and I get 1 accuracy and then 4 damage with 1 crit. I do have RealVeers pull the crit at his structure, so Reiem actually dies at the top of the round here. And then with the front shot, I try and kill this GR75. I don't get the accuracy here, funny enough, and I end up just bumping this GR75. So we'll go to the next slide. Yes. So this is later on in 3, and what has happened here is Reckon has died. This GR-75, I rammed it, and then there's some more ramming going on with Peltas. The GR-75s actually got rammed to death here. Without being shot at all. Well, I did shoot them a couple times, but no actual damage was done through shooting. They all rammed themselves, or all got rammed to death. This was the very last activation I had here. I opted, this Venator was at, or this Pelta just underneath it, you can see it was at 3 hull. I really didn't want to make it take another hull damage, but I also really did not want to throw bail at close, so I opted to use another bail dial, go down to speed 1, do a double click, ram my own Pelta to essentially land back where I was back here. That way I'm still in blue range. And what this means is this MC-30 is going to have to go now. This is RealVeers' last activation. And it's going to have to fly in here in some respect. So it's going to be in my own little kill box. I'm hoping to pick up this MC-30. I'm thinking I'm going to lose this Pelta. This CR-90 is going to get away, unfortunately. I did the math here, and I had Confires queued up on this Venator for the next 2 rounds. I shot at it this round out the side with 2 reds, one naturally, one because of the Confire. I got a double hit and a crit. I should have LTT re-rolled the crit for an accuracy, because the only way that this thing dies, it had a shield in the front and a shield on the rear. The only thing this thing died is if I shot it and got a double hit with an accuracy to evade, and they can only redirect 1, so it'd be down to 1 hull, and then do the same thing at the top of the next round. Very unlikely that would happen, to roll a double and an accuracy on back-to-back attacks, but you should always play to your outs like I did with Reiem. Kind of missed a chance here. You just said I should point that out, mainly for my own sake, remind myself as well. So this is it's showing this bail going back. We'll go to the next slide. Oops. All right. So this is the end of 3. As I said, we bounced back. This Pelta got blown up due to the squads. This MC-30 ended up flying in. It did land on the station to heal that ram damage it had suffered from the CR-90 earlier in the game. It is in the side arc at medium from this Venator and at close. I have boarding troopers ready to go, so this is going to be my first activation, and I'm hoping that I'm going to kill, I'm going to one-shot, or not one-shot, but I'm going to kill the MC-30 with this activation here. But we will jump to that. So yeah, kill this MC-30, hope to live with this Pelta, and I think I could get an 8-3 if I don't lose this Pelta. Gotta zoom back up. So this is a shot at the top of the round, round 4 with the Venator. I had a really nice base roll, and then I X-Rexed, because if you do the math here, I had spent some I took this image partway through resolving the attack here, but I had boarding troopered and exhausted 1 evade and both redirects, and RealVeers is going to make me re-roll some dice here, and then he also discarded a redirect. So this was my natural roll, and I was looking at this. The math is he had this was after a side attack, so the shields were down to 1 in the front and 2 on the rear. So I need 4 damage, 6 damage, and then 4 more damage straight into hull to kill this thing. If you look at my dice now, I'm sitting at 4, 8, 9. So I was like, if I X-Rax here and get a couple more hits, like another double, there's a really good chance that I can like one-shot this, especially if we pull a crit. I can ram it if I have to. I was really hoping that I'd get the kill here, but X-Rax failed me. It wasn't worth the 4 points this time. It's a danger of not having reroll effects. for blacks, but the extracts rolled in 2 blanks. Then when I reroll for the evade, I think I keep 1 hit crit, 1 goes to a hit, and 1 goes to an accuracy. So basically, I strip all the shields off, but essentially I don't get the kill here, which means this MC30 is still going to die because it's going to end up over here, and I'll probably be able to finish it off with this Venator who still has X-Rax. But this MC30 is going to get to activate and is just in close to this Pelta, and we'll really be able to hurt this Pelta and probably make it so the squads can kill it. So the plan of getting like an 8-3 by keeping this Pelta alive is, after the shot, is basically kind of gone because I'm expecting this Pelta to die. So partway through 4, the MC30 flew down here, and then I killed it with this Venator. I took my last Bale nav dial. I was really hoping that I could swing this Venator out of the way and make it so this Pelta could like do a little jig jog and land on the station, heal, obstruct some zones, although it won't matter too much, but basically get that free heal in. And it has repair dials queued up. I was like, maybe I can still keep this alive depending on how the squads roll. But unfortunately, this Venator just clipped the other Venator here, which means it's going to end up right back here. Basically parked right in front of the Pelta, so I'm like, the Pelta's going to ram the Venator and be stuck there. So that's basically going to be the end of the Pelta. So we go to the end of 4 here, basically the start of 5. The Pelta rammed, went back down to 2 hull after the repairs I had done, and then the squads finished it up. We basically called the game here. We did go to the top of 5 to see if I could get like super lucky and kill Ketsu. There was a slim chance. I rolled it out, but it didn't happen. Between LTTs, the native 2 dice, Confire, and Clone Captain Zak, I was throwing like 6 dice at Ketsu. So there was a chance I could get a couple of accuracies and kill it, but it didn't happen. We called it there. It ended up being a 76 margin of victory for me, which is a 7-4. If the Pelta had stayed alive and I had killed, I did manage to kill 1 YT. If I had killed like 1 other squad, I think we would have had the 8-3. So it's a pretty close game. It was a real fun game. I got really hot SPHA-T roll on Reiem, which really turned the game. That was definitely the turning point here, because Reiem dying and not getting to use the Reiem effect at all throughout the game was definitely devastating. I kind of whiffed though on the MC30, or killing that MC30 here. But all in all, it was really a great game. It was good to finally get in to a battle with RealVeers. We had some scheduling issues, but we did get the game in. I think he was playing while on vacation, so it was really good to actually get this game in. I had mentioned at the end, though, he had made a mistake at deployment. The HIE CR90 he thought was Jaina's Light. So Jaina's Light was supposed to start up here, and HIE was supposed to start over here. Hard to say how much of a difference that would have made, because Jaina's Light ended up just flying out this way anyway. If the HIE had gone in and just come in close, I probably would have killed it even easier than I had killed Reiem. So I don't know how too much of a difference it would have made, but I'm just happy with the result. I believe I'm going to be in like the top 5 or 6 or 7 going into the 4th round, so there's a chance for the top 4 yet. But I will let you know how the 4th round of Swiss goes and where we end up. But thank you all for watching. You all have a good one.